You screwed it up. You didn't kill. You know, why in the hell did I touch that thing? When could you touch something better? Before it's fired or after it's fired? After it's fired. You can tuck that shadow down there. You might want it pink. You might want it green. You might want it blue. You might want it sepia. And you can experiment and play with it without losing the foundation. You try to put it in the first firing, you don't have a second chance. So remember Mama told you, when in doubt, leave it out. If you're not sure about kissing that boy, don't kiss him. Okay? Well, y'all didn't listen to that saying. So I've redone it. If it don't make you throw up, leave it alone. Fire it.
Kissing the boy or painting?
Painting. Now that's another story. If he doesn't make you throw up, kiss him. If your stomach is just churning a little bit, fire it. If you can feel it up here in your chest, fire it. If you can taste it, you got a problem, fix it. Don't fire it, okay? So if you're just sort of iffy, think of that kill, get it down there, and tomorrow's another day you'll figure out what to do to it perfectly. Okay, you're at that wishy-washy stage. Leave it alone at that stage and fire it. Go wait a day before you kiss him. Kiss him on the second date instead of the first date. Don't have to, like my friend's Bev. I said, Bev, you don't have to marry him to go to bed with him. You know?
You sound like my great grandmother.
Well,
Did she say that?
this friend of mine had 5 husbands. The shortest she had one was a day and a half. The longest was a year. Now she's on her 6th, and it's perfect. Okay, has everybody got their lip in?
Yep.
Okay, let's eat. Are we doing okay? Okay, good. What is your name? Introduce yourself. This is
I'm Anthony.
Anthony.
Hi, ladies.
Thank you for coming.
You too.
And he's a photographer, video, and I'm sure that y'all had some pieces y'all wanted photographed. He would photograph.
I'm gonna come around, yeah.
And
He's
so,
going to do that tomorrow.
yeah, okay.
Out there? Yes, I'll be doing that out there.
Okay. So if you want extra copies, you can pull these out of the curving, you know, just like to go over. Yeah, a little bit more. Don't let them take height. If you listen up to 3, I've given y'all some of my philosophies you can do, and if you really kind of tack those up and write them down and kind of get them in your brain, you'll be happier. Now, this is where that once is meant to be. You start filtering this color down, and you're going to iron out all the wrinkles and all the character that this flower has, okay? And that's what will make it look flat, okay? So this is the time you really want to touch this as little as possible, okay? Again, and sometimes I switch to a smaller brush when I start working with my detail instead of my large one. Again, get back off that brush. You'll have a lighter touch, and you'll be able to see what you're doing as it gets in there. Sometimes I'm almost painting with the wind of the brush and not the brush, because now we want to get the strokes in this top part of this petal either to go in or come out. It doesn't matter if you brush up or down, it's the same movement, okay? I try to always pull towards the center, but if you're pulling to one point or to its point, the opposite direction, it has a very similar look, okay? The more you overwork it, the worse it's going to do. Fix it in the next firing, okay? Now, I want you to understand about a petal or a leaf or anything like that. It has a certain way it moves, okay? It's not always straight. So we got this petal that's basically this shape. I'm not getting all my riffraff in it. At the top or the middle of that petal, the brush stroke is straight towards the center. On the right and left, it curves towards the center. On the other side, it curves the reverse direction towards the center. Now, I'm going to teach you English. I'm going to the store. Where am I at? The store. Okay? I'm going towards the store. Where am I at?
I'm not at the store yet.
Right, in the vicinity of it. So don't take yourself to the center. Take your brush towards the center. So maybe one brush stroke will go all the way into the center. The next one just might give that suggestion of going in there. That little movement right there is just as strong as this long movement. Okay? It's like the arrows on the road. You follow the dotted lines on the road the same way if they're solid. Okay? So again, you don't have to go to the center, you're going to go towards the center. And that way it'll make this pedal look like it's curving out this way and almost curving under itself. And also it'll make it curve out to where it's going out this way. And each section of that pedal will be completely different. Okay? Now, just think towards, small, medium, large. Again, the wind of the brush. I'm not playing with background because that's another story in these. Background can be done before or afterwards in your China painting. I'm going to catch this brush on the white and I'm just going to pull towards the center. I'm going to catch the curve and I'm going to pull towards the center. I'm not going all the way. When I get down to the bottom, I might really give a good curve in there. And you can see how now this movement is going in to that little dark area. Okay? Now, it doesn't take a whole lot of times to do that. Okay? Usually, sometimes one brush stroke will do it. Or get your, if your color is set incorrectly, where it's all irregular, one pulling of that will do it. Okay? So don't think you got to do every square inch of that pedal. Okay? Now, that's finished for that step. Your lip pulls out, doesn't it? It curves up. So you're going to follow that same idea. It doesn't matter if you curve to the right or the left on these pedals, on these right sections. You'll just give a good little curve like that. Don't curve into that center. Okay, look at this up here instead of looking at me. Okay, I'm not curving up into there. I come across with a straight line and pull down. My curve is in this section, not this section. The line that's in my center is actually a straight line. It's an optical illusion that it looks curved. Your curve is in this section, not this section. And again, curve it back down. If you want to curve up, you can curve up. Makes no difference. Maybe on one side, I might curve down. This side, I'll curve it up. Okay? And then we have that looking like it's pulling out. You see how that looks like it's falling out? Okay? That's just about it. Now, the trumpet area is even simpler. Okay? You just catch one side and curve to the other. Catch and curve. Catch and curve. Catch and curve. Catch, curve, catch, curve. And right on down now it looks like it's pregnant, doesn't it? Okay? So that's what we want to do, is get that nice curve in here. Okay? I didn't have to touch it 20,000 times. I've got my nice little highlights in there. Don't worry about that edge being rough like that. You know, I'm not worried that y'all are thinking, well, I got to get a straight edge there. But realize, look at someone's arm or something at the edge of the roll of toilet paper. You're going to see dark and light color right down the edge of the outside edge of that roll of toilet paper. Not toilet paper. So on the next firing, I can fix that edge much better. And I'll have those nice little highlights in there. They're in there naturally. Okay? So let's get our curvings. Remember, the left side curves from the left to the center. The right side curves from the right to the center. The middle curves straight down. Now don't overdo it. Just do what I said and leave it alone and move to the lip. Okay? It's still not finished. Now, someone did a turn back on theirs, and she did a lovely rolling of her turn back with her pedal. Now, I'm just going to give you some advice. Do your stroking first before you stroke your turn back, because then you got to get that little stroke inside that turn back without screwing it up, okay? So just always remember, sometimes if you got something in front of it, do what's behind it first, and then you won't mess up what you're painting, showing what's in front. So do what's the furthest back, and if you had a turn back on this, and I'll show a turn back on mine in a minute. Some of y'all might have your flower a little too skinny up there at the top. And a turn back will fix that without even changing it.
Do
Yes,
you
ma'am.
load your brush when you're pulling in towards the center, or do you clean your brush?
I use a dry, clean brush.
Or dry clean?
Now, if I want color in there, like something, nobody has that problem, okay? But if you had a lot of white on the edge of your petal, okay, I might add some color to my brush and wipe out with color, okay? So it's either way, or even if you can control that brush with color on very well, you can wipe out with color on your brush. But right now, all of y'all are pretty good and dark. I'm proud of you. And y'all can just wipe out with a clean to it. We're really just interested in the movement of the color, not the lights and darks of it.
Stephen, would you review that center of the cone part,
The center, this part or this part?
the bottom,
The what?
under the lip and down?
Okay. That's just curving around it. Just as if I was going to paint on a barrel, I'd run like this. So I just catch the edge and curve. Make sure your lines are parallel with each other. And they don't have to be a certain distance apart. You want to have small, medium, and large brush strokes. Sometimes, I don't always do it, but sometimes I'll come in there and curve on the other side. But make sure your curves are lined up on your right and your left side. Usually I'll do that in the next firing. I'll curve my good side or my bad side. You've got a good side you paint, and you got a bad side. Okay?
Just want to see what you do.
It's hard to see it because I really played with the
It's so
color.
off.
Yeah, it's a soft look, and you can see it if you see it up close. If you're real dramatic with those brush strokes and that's fine. If the flower is older, you'll see a lot of the veins in it. If it's newer, you'll see less veins in it. But the color is still there. And we're going to put some lines of movement in there too. Okay, we all got that done?
No.
Well, hurry up. We don't have all night here. We got to make sure that bar's open next door. Well, it's what is today? Sunday? Sunday night. I guess Shriners don't drink on Sunday. Bless you. If your lines are real strong or they're real weak, don't worry about it. They can always, we're going to wipe out some lines in a minute, and you can always shadow that tomorrow. It's going to, okay. You know what makes China painting so difficult?
We do.
Well, you do a little bit. You fret over it. I can't help you with that. Okay? But the problem is when you're painting with it, it's opaque. When it's fired, it becomes transparent. And you can't see that transparency until after it's fired. Okay? So this color that you have on there that looks so dark and everything, you see it flat. But when it's fired, it's going to have a lot of texture in it because it's going to have light spots and dark spots that you can't see. It's just like, have you ever tried to cover something up? It's impossible. You can't do it. Even with black. It's still going to shine through in the fire. So that should tell you how transparent the colors are. So the more you start fiddling with that color, the flatter it gets. You even the color out. Okay? So really, when you start smoothing, you're really harming the color instead of helping it. Just experiment with it. You've all got tiles and things, broken pieces of china. Put a brush stroke on, fire it. Do another brush stroke and filter it out and fire it, and look at the difference. And you're going to like the one you just left alone better than the one you fluffed around. Okay. Now.
Are you bringing that?
What?
Are you bringing that at the bottom?
You're right. Okay. The center, okay, is where it connects to the base of it. And the center of this flower is actually right here. So I'm bringing it into that trumpet area. It's going this direction. There is no center when I'm curving out this way. The center is everywhere on there. So we're just trying to show the roundness of it. Most of the time you're going to pull towards the center. The only time that you would pull away from the center or opposite from the center is when you want to show direction. And this is where I want to show the roundness of this petal. Like when you're doing a rose, it's important that you turn that bowl, the curve of the bowl. The other petals all come into the center of the rose. and that's where the petals connect to the stem. Okay? Okay. Now, this is where you're going to have some trouble. I want you to get your little rubber brush that's got the slanted end to it. Okay? Now, brush, 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 brush. It's not a cleanup tool. I do not want to see you going around the outside of this edge of this flower and cleaning up the edge. Because what you'll have is a dark line all the way around it, and it'll look, when it's fired, it'll look like you took a magic marker in red and made it, it'll look like it's been cut out with scissors. We're going to do exactly what we did with our brush with this rubber brush. Okay? Now, it doesn't matter if your tip is black, red, green, purple, whatever. I'm using my red one. Notice how I'm holding that. Get back off of it. It's a brush. And just as I pulled that flag at the top towards the center, I'm going to do the same thing with this rubber brush. I'm going to catch this color. I mean, you can be as messy as you want to be in here, okay? And I'm going to get it on my white, and I'm going to catch it and come in and pull towards the center. And you see how lacy that made that little brush stroke? Now, all of y'all are going to be different. Some of y'all are nitpicky little, tight girls that are going to want to come in there and do little bitty strokes all the way around. It doesn't matter if you do little ones, big ones, hit and miss. It doesn't matter. It just becomes your style, that flower. I'll come up a little bit and come in here and I'll pull straight across, pick up, lay back down, and then pull down towards the center. And look at that nice little shape that you get in there. You can see on the edge of that, I've got a hard edge and a soft edge. The soft edge is where I wiped out with my brush. The hard edge is where I wiped out with this little rubber brush. Clean it off and pull back down in towards the center. I'm going to kind of overdo this one a little bit. And I'll get on the other side, and it curves the reverse way. Now look at the difference that has taken that flower. I mean, it's really taken it from a very hard edge into a really rolling edge. I'd use the same stroke when I'm doing a poppy. Okay? Now, I'm happy. I'm really thinking maybe I could use some little lines in that to get me going down into that center a little bit more. So I'll come in here, and in my dark color, I'll pull a few little lines. Oops, I went the wrong way. And pull some lines back into that center. Don't make them all the same. They're short ones, little ones, and that moves you a little faster into that center. Okay? Now, if they're too white, tomorrow you just wash some color over it, and it'll give that nice little veinage to it. Okay? Perfect. Now, come in here. Now I used it just like I did my square shader, this little slanted one. I've got my rounded tip now, and I'm going to use it just like my scroller. And on one side, I'm going to start with a little fine line over here, and then I'm going to press down with that and curve around back to a little point right there. Okay? And give myself a highlight. This one, I'm going to plop down, and it doesn't matter if you can do that both tops if you want to, or I'm going to start over here, and I'm going to give a really big bold line, and I'm going to pull back to a fine one. And you're going to see this edge is very irregular right there. It's not a straight line. It's got a little lights and darks. It's thicker and thinner in different spots of it. I'm going to do that. Then right here, I'm going to bring this up and put a little mustache right there. Okay? So that gives a little highlight under it. Then just take right in that little V and bring you a little broken line all the way down towards the center. Okay? And what you got is you'll get, excuse me, not paying attention, we'll have different size broken lines. And that's going to give you where that's coming up to a little point, a little highlight there. It's way too bright for right now. But tomorrow I'll wash color. It doesn't matter what color. If you want it to be pink, you put some pink in there. Okay? Now, here's going to be the hard part.
That's what you said the last time.
What?
He's got different parts that are hard.
I mean, this is going to be hard because now we're going to put some holes in this. Okay? So what I'm going to do is in this little flag, there's areas that kind of rot out sooner or later. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going
Move
to,
your fingers.
I'm sorry. Thank you. I'm going to come in here and just wipe out with some little lines in here. These are going to give little highlights or what they call windows in there. Make sure they're all different. Don't go in there and go dot, dot, dot. Remember, this is a brush, not a tool. A tool makes dots. A brush makes brush strokes. So I've done some little highlights in there. I don't do this on both sides of my trumpet. It doesn't matter if it's your right or left. I'll come and do the same thing in here and get some of these little wipeout lines like that. And then to make this side different from that, I'll catch these and pull some lines down in there. Okay? And that has got that flower finished. Okay? So we got that nice little look in there for this part. Now, if you really want to give some nice little points to these things, curve away from the center like that. Curve up and get you some nice little points if you want. If you like it the way it is, leave it alone. You can put those points in tomorrow. Okay? Now let's get that done and then I'll show you how, some of y'all that don't have a turn back, I'll show you how to make a turn back out of what you got, and I'll show you how to do a turn back, okay? And then we'll get to the other part of the splatter, which we should have done it first because it's the harder one.
Can you do a close-up like this again? Thank you.
There you go. And you can see it's very scratchy looking. I'm not worried about that. Your first firing is unimportant. It's your second firing that's important. Your first firing, if you leave the color alone and get all your suggestions there, you'll have a good light and dark, or two different values. You want three, light, medium, and dark. If you're lucky to get two of them, you're done good.
What was the first thing you said to do?
I don't remember. You're gonna start from your white on the edge of your top part and pull in towards the center. Now, some sides you might do 2 on one side and 3 on the other side, or 4 on the side. You don't have to do odd, even numbers. Don't worry about it. Just do it different. When you get quiet, that's when I'm nervous.
What's going on?
No, I said this translator was translating for me, and he said, "I don't think I'm doing right." I said, "No, you're doing fine." I said, "The words, you're hitting the words right and everything." And at lunchtime, he says, "I'm calling my sister to come translate for you." He says, "I know I'm saying it right, but what I'm saying and what they're doing is two different things." I said, "That's normal." He thought it was him. It wasn't. It was him. Just as old smarty pants back there puts a turn back on hers, and she didn't. We didn't tell her to do that, did we? Don't look at it too long. Just do your thing. Don't look at mine. There's no right or wrong. There's no rhyme or reason for this. You're starting to think like what your teachers told you. Where's your light coming from? Well, does your light come from one place or does it come from many places? It comes from many. I mean, in this room, the light is coming from each one of these light sources. It's also bouncing off of her white blouse and going that direction. It's bouncing off the shine of these tables. So the light's coming from everywhere. And then you got to worry about reflected light. And reflected light is always much stronger than natural light. Okay, so if she's trying to tell you what to do.
What do you need? What
Yeah, yeah,
are we doing?
yeah.
There you
Like
go.
that.
You see how irregular those strokes are? I mean, they're going to look ugly, but when you wash that color over it, it's going to give it that look of curving in or curving out so naturally. It's unbelievable. And the lights and darks are already in that wipeout if you don't clean it out. Because then when it's fired, you're going to see that there's color in there. You just can't see it right now. And what? Well, if it looks like a mustache on there, you've got the right side and the left side two identical to each other. So make one side different, longer or thicker, okay? Right. Get it crooked, you know. Make it look like the morning after, not the morning before. Right. When in doubt, leave it out. Don't make you throw up. And this is a flower that y'all aren't familiar with too. So don't, you know, y'all all got a good one. I mean, all got a start of a good one on there. I haven't seen one that's made me throw up. So y'all are doing good.
You did see one?
I know.
I haven't seen one yet.
I was worried about
We
this.
thought you said you did see.
No. I'll tell you. And my Greek friend says, don't ask Steve's opinion unless you want to hear it. And it's not destructive criticism, it's constructive criticism. I had to get on to Liz the other day. She started wearing these dresses. It just didn't fit her. They were that kind of like, I didn't call them what her friend called them, but they're like, they pinch around the boob and then fall down. They're like a moo-moo type thing. Well, she doesn't have the shape for that. And she looks best with a skirt and a blouse with a little jacket over it.
She asked.
No, she didn't. I knew, I said, Liz, don't wear those dresses anymore. I said, you know, you look good with a skirt, a blouse, and a jacket or an overshirt or something. I said, that's how you look the best, you know. You know it, and quit buying those cheap dresses like that. They don't flatter you.
Just because they're in fashion.
Well, but you know, you gotta have the body for that. And she's a little heavy set, and it just, you know, she's always pulling up her boobs and everything like that. And that's not attractive either.
I need to see the top part of that.
Okay, I can move that. There.
Oh.
You happy now?
Yeah.
Okay. She thinks she's in a private class, doesn't she? That looks good. You got a little bit, to me, on your top, I'd pull one of those brush strokes from the white in a little further on one side. Just one little brush stroke. You got them almost the same length. Okay, you see how it's almost like you've got a sharp pair of pinking shears. Get a dull pair, okay? The key word when you're painting in nature is keep it irregular.
It looks good to me.
Yeah.
It looks good to her.
My rope's not that long, okay?